Hello and welcome to the Studio 78 podcast. I am your host, Nache Snow from nachesnow.com. That is NACHESNOW. Thank you for joining me for another episode. And if you're new here, welcome and definitely check out some of my earlier episodes. Today, it's all about community, and I'm really excited to get to our guest, Bree. But before I do, I just want to say I hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode with Alexis, who's a San Diego graphic designer who works for herself and partners with other co-creatives. But she talks a little bit about personal branding, and so I thought her tips and her just journey in general was really inspiring. So I hope you did too. Also out there, I have a post 100 side hustle ideas. So if you haven't checked that out, head on over to the blog on nachesnow.com. And it not only just gives you some ideas of what you can do, but I also give like online marketplaces where you can make money, especially if you're not ready, let's say, to start your own site or go big with your side hustle. So just read it. Even if you weren't thinking about doing a side hustle, it might just spark something. Like maybe you never realized a passion of yours could turn into something. But anyway, let's get to our guest today, Bree. I wanted Bree on here because I just love what she's doing with the Tall Society. And you guys know I had Elena on earlier, and she's another like tall blogger that I've connected with over the years. And so there is really this community of women that bond together over like just being tall, which is amazing. But Bree has done something really amazing, which is actually bring us together in person. And so she started these tall brunches. I went to one last year, absolutely loved it. And they were so successful that she's actually doing more all over the US. So I wanted to bring her on here just to talk to her a little bit about like why she does it and how she does it. Because I love the whole concept of communities. And if you guys have been following me on social media, you know one of my goals for this year is to actually network more and get out more. And it's participating in these type of communities that'll help me do that. And so she's even inspired me, I think, to write a post on like a roundup post on all the tall communities I know. Like I know Alexis mentioned some, I have Bree's community here. And even Estrella and I have a community of fashion trucks and mobile boutique owners, right? Over at Let's Talk About Fashion Truck Facebook group, we have like 1,500 people in there just chatting about like owning, a mobile business and what that's like and the challenges and all of that good stuff. And it took, 2 years to like build that up. And we have a podcast surrounding it, but it takes a lot of work to build a community. But if you love a topic or have a passion for a topic and realize that it's making a difference in someone's life, it really helps kind of push you to keep going and it motivates you to want to do more. So anyway, look for that in the future, that roundup post. But I think tall or not, I think you'll love this episode because it is about community and how you can build your tribe. And though Bree is doing it on a larger scale where she has several women, like 30, 40, maybe 50 women per event coming up, showing up to talk and to bond. You can even do something like this on a smaller scale. Even Nache, who was a past guest, actually after our episode, the coaching episode, she started a meetup group and she just had her first meetup this week and it was amazing. Now she knows all these women in the Virginia Beach area who want to learn about photography and get together and talk about photography. And, I think it was a group of maybe 10 to 15 women. I can't remember the exact number, but it's just like, wow, just getting together, even with a small group of like-minded people, you just never know where that might take you. let's get into this episode. In earlier episodes, I mentioned to you that me and Skype were battling, and I had a couple of mic issues with 4 episodes. And this is like the last of those episodes where the mic didn't quite get connected. But like the other episodes, you can hear me fine. It's just not like super professional and crisp. But I hope you enjoy this episode. And if you do, please share it. Also, maybe leave a comment on the show notes, nachesnow.com/08. All right, here we go.
Hello, everybody. I have Bree here from the Tall Society. I am really excited to have her on the podcast today. Welcome, Bree.
Thank you. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. It's kind of crazy. It's like almost mid-January already. It's kind of crazy. And for those of the listeners out there, Bree has, we're going to get into it, but created this amazing website and really just kind of like group, like social group that tall people can go to learn from each other and find out a lot of different things, from loving yourself to tall clothes. And there's like this whole society of tall bloggers out there. And I remember starting years ago, and it was like 1 or 2, and now there's like 10 or 20. And so I think what she's doing is brilliant because it's kind of bringing us all together, which is amazing. But before we get into that, Bree, I was wondering if you could just tell the listeners a little bit about you and your background, like before starting the Tall Society.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, so I'm Dutch. I'm very proud of it.
Oh.
I went to an international college back home, and when I graduated, I kind of jetted off and I came to the States. And I've been here ever since. I work for an international hotel company, and with them, I've kind of lived and worked in a bunch of different cities in the U.S. and also in the UK, which has been a lot of fun. And currently, I work as a business systems analyst, so I work in technology, still for the same hotel company, but I just transitioned from working in the hotels to now having a corporate job. So that's what I've been up to for like the past 10 years or so. And then, a little less than 2 years ago, I started the Tall Society.
So what made you decide to start the Tall Society?
Well, I saw such a big shift in how people receive their information, right? Whereas maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, people were very used to waiting for the catalog to come at home and flipping through the catalog, right? And and folding the corners of the pages where there were clothing items that you're interested in. And then we saw happening over the past couple of years this huge influx of influencers or bloggers or, really however you want to call them. I see them as a source of information, right? And entertainment, depending on who you follow. Right?
True. That is very true.
Some people are more informative than others. But it's, it's just a huge shift on how we consume, digest information. And of course, we saw the spotlight kind of go on to the beautiful, curvy and plus ladies that have historically really been neglected. I am curvy and plus myself, right? So I was very, very pleased to see that happening. And women speaking out, and really moving towards an era where there is more self-acceptance. And that's really something that is preached across the board, which I think is all just a very positive development. What I didn't see as a parent, though, is a spotlight on women of height, women that are taller than average height. I really didn't see that with the same strength. And I was missing that, to be quite frank. I think it is something that I was missing because I was so desperately kind of looking for it, being 6'4" myself. I was like combing through all these people and I was like, oh God, it would be so nice to come across someone that is like me, right?
Right.
As you know as well, life is a little different for us. It just is. It is.
It is.
And looking for that camaraderie and looking for those women that, can relate to the journey that I've had and that I'm still having. And it was just something that I was missing. And, I was having frequent conversations about this at the time with my mom, who is, who has really been hugely instrumental in the birth of the Tall Society, because she's really the one that kind of said, Bree, you're such an entrepreneurial spirit, right? You're really a go-getter. And why are you not doing this? Explain to me why you continue to speak about it, but I don't see you taking action. So she really kind of just called out, right?
Right.
Like, in every other aspect of your life, I see you pursuing what you want. And here is apparently this void that you feel that you have and that needs to be filled, and you're not doing anything about it. She literally was like, what are you waiting for? So I totally got called out by my mom. And that, it's silly, right? Because I guess I was either waiting for someone else to do it. I don't know. You know how you're talking about something and you're like, this would be cool, but
someone should do it.
Someone should do it. Exactly. And I was like, why am I not doing it? And I was like, okay, well, it's going to cost a lot of time. Do I have the time? And, as I mentioned before, I used to work in hotel operations and I would work insane hours. Like I would be working 12, 13-hour days. I'd be working 6 days a week. Like it really was not good. Now that I think back, I wonder why I ever kind of did that.
Right.
But, there was just little time for anything else, right? There was little time for me to actually live my life, which is kind of sad if you think about it. And, I definitely had an epiphany a few years ago where I realized that I had to choose me, and that, working 70, 80-hour weeks for an employer was not something that I wanted to do. So I really sought out to work smarter and not harder. And, that sounds cliche, but it's very true because I knew, I am intelligent. I have a unique skill set, and I'm sure that there are opportunities out there that will allow me to still make a living and be fulfilled in my professional life, but at the same time to start living my life. Here I was like late 20s and I was working like a dog. I barely even had time to go on a date. I was like single for the longest time. And I just really realized that it was just no way to live. I didn't see myself continuing that, for much longer. So I made a shift and, I completely did a 180 in career path, and I left hotel operations for what it is. And I moved over to our corporate offices and now I work in technology, and a whole new world opened up for me. I all of a sudden went to working, a 9 to 5 in an office where there were summer Fridays. I'd never even heard of the concept of summer Friday. Like HR had to explain it to me 3 times.
You're like, what?
I'm like, wait, what? What is happening? It was wonderful. It was wonderful. Like I remember that first year that I was in a new job, I was just so incredibly intensely happy with the decision that I had made. And now I was out, spending more time with my friends. I was, dating. I was living life. I wasn't doing that before, right?
Yeah.
And with that as well, my time freed up tremendously because now all of a sudden I was working half the amount of hours. And I decided, I was like, okay, there's no time like the present. Like this is it, right?
Let's do it.
This is the time. So that is when I started kind of constructing the concept and thinking of, how I was going to set myself apart and be different. And, also looking at the long term on how we could potentially evolve and, and all of those initial thoughts have all kind of worked really well over the past 2 years, which is amazing. So, yeah.
And I wonder too, like, how do you, because I know I've struggled with this. Like, I work better hours now, but even doing that, trying to get off, on time most days, you still have like this finite amount of time, right? Like 3-4 hours after work before you go to sleep and weekends. So how do you balance that? Like, how do you give like the tall society everything you need to give it, but still like finding time for like your personal life, like going out with friends or going out with a boyfriend, or like how do you find that balance?
I mean, it's definitely something that I struggle with at the time. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is a lot of work, and people kind of look at the tall society and the events and they're like, this all looks so great. I'm very proud of what we've kind of put out there so far, but it does cost a lot of time. I mean, it's not, it doesn't just miraculously develop itself,
Right.
Like, that is me sitting behind my computer on a Friday night until 2:00 in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, those are definitely instances that happen a lot. And I think for me, I have a long-term vision for where I would like to take the Tall Society, and we're well on our way to getting there. And I think that with certain things, a certain level of commitment and investment is needed in order to really elevate and take it to the next level. And I think that, it's just like a level of commitment that some people are just not willing to make, right? And I totally respect and understand that they're like, you know what? No, I am not I'm not going to spend 6 hours of my Friday evening continuing to work, right? Day job ends and then second job starts. I'm going to go out with my friends. I totally respect that. I mean, I still go out with my friends. I still go out with my boyfriend. It's definitely a little bit less than it was before I started the Tall Society, because the free time that I have, which is evenings and weekends, I need to, keep the train going. So there's lots of planning. I love lists. And, to-do lists and planning content far out, so we're not scrambling on a weekly basis trying to figure out what to post. I plan like 2 months ahead. Like, I know today what I'm going to post in 2 months. And that definitely helps. But obviously getting to that point takes time and effort. And I have, you've seen kind of like the evolvement from it being just me, right, to now having contributors, and I'm counting my blessings every day. I am so incredibly happy and blessed with the contributors of the Tall Society, and they contribute amazing content, and it really brings also like a different flavor to things. It's no longer the Bree show, which is what I really felt like it was becoming. And that's totally fine, but that was never my vision. Like, my vision was always for it to be a community. But then I was like, okay, how am I going to kind of quote unquote introduce myself to this world, right? Because no one knows who you are. No one cares.
Right. Yeah.
So,
getting them to listen. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, so starting out on my own was a very conscious decision to kind of be like, hey guys, like, I'm Bree and this is what I'm about, and sharing more of myself in the different posts, and then eventually transitioning to slowly bringing on contributors, that really God put on my path. I don't think that there's any other way to say it, because every single contributor that we have somehow just showed up in my life at the right time.
That's how it happens, though, right? It's like that.
Oh, you were there.
That
you were
big
there
magic.
when I met Christiana. You know what I mean? Christiana at our DC brunch, and she stayed behind, and her husband came, and like, we really hit it off. We really did. And it's just amazing how, how the universe works. I really believe that, you're put in each other's path or on each other's path for a reason.
No, I believe it too. Now, I know, of course, this has been 2 years in the making. So, of course, listeners out there, I will give you guys a link to Bree's website, which is amazing. She is like legit. She has these beautiful pictures and these beautiful videos. And I've seen you, I feel like you're starting to do more videos too, which are pretty cool. So, I'm wondering out there, so we have people out there who have this idea or who are trying to, start their own tribe. How did you take it from like maybe a small blog where you're saying, "Hey world, I'm Bree and I have something to say," to a business like this now kind of business that you do alongside with having a 9 to 5?
I think it's two things. I think it's consistency and engagement. And I'll explain each a little bit more. I think consistency is critical. I really think that it's critical. And that's also something that I recognize. Like I did see different things sort of out there, but I didn't really see anyone being very consistent. And I think, I remember when I started, I really started with a plan. Like it's all not like a business plan, but I really started out with like, okay, I am aiming to launch on this date. And what do the next like 4 to 6 weeks of content look like, right? And really like writing that down and planning it and going out to shoot and like filling in the gaps and writing the content. And so when I launched, I was not just ready for that week. I was ready for the next 6 weeks, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
I think that sometimes people kind of get really excited and they kind of like, they're super excited and they just put something out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then it's like, hi. And then they're like, wait, I'm going to have to continue.
Like, what am I doing? What am I posting tomorrow? Yeah.
And I think that's where it becomes tricky. So for me, at least for my sanity, planning ahead has worked really well, and having like a calendar and like marking what I'm going to post when, and that doesn't mean that things don't change. Like things change all the time, you know what I mean? Like I might have a retailer that's like, what, I really would love for you to post this week, and this is why. Maybe because the collection is, they're like rotating it out, so it wouldn't be relevant anymore if I post it like 4 weeks from now, or you know what I mean? Like, so there's different moving factors to take into account. But yeah, I think consistency, trying to figure out for yourself, I'm going to do this, on what frequency am I able to create content, and just being real with yourself too. I feel like people initially are very ambitious and are like, I'm going to post 3 times a week. And it's like, that's a lot.
That is. People don't realize how much work that is.
Exactly. And, so I was just like, okay, I think I can commit to 1 post a week, 1 a week. And that is, what I committed to. And I've posted a new blog post, every week.
Right.
Past like, year and a half and change.
Yeah.
Like, if I was on vacation, I would schedule it to post, or, thinking ahead, but not a week went by where I didn't. So I think that is really important to, I think for your like credibility, I think 2, for people to really start committing and engaging with your content, right? And now that I'm seeing more of my readers in person at the brunches and I'm talking to them, a lot of them tell me like, they know that they're going to wake up on Sunday morning and I'm going to have an email for me.
Right.
Like it becomes something that is like now part of, of their routine. It's like, Sunday morning, let's have a coffee, let's see what she wrote this week. And I think that we have steadily been able to grow because of that consistency. And then engagement, and that really kind of goes back to what you said earlier, right? But I've kind of encouraged everyone to take our contact and our interaction to the next level because, I interact with you, we as our little group of tall bloggers, we all interact with each other on social media and, we support each other and that contact is kind of out there. But then, like, none of us had ever met,
Right.
None of us had ever met in person. And I was kind of looking at, so I saw an opportunity there as well. It's like, wow, how amazing would it be to just take this engagement to the next level? Why not? People are so focused on social media and, people spend hours and hours and hours behind their computer. But, there's something to be said for making an real in-person connection and being able to sit down and talk to someone and, build a friendship. I think, that there's more of that should be happening. And I just felt that was important. And I felt that was something that would be well received by our community. And, and it was. And, I think it's just kind of doing it, right? It kind of goes back, because how often do you talk to even friends, right? It's like, oh my God, we have to catch up. I haven't seen you in ages. Yes, we're going to have to, we have to go for dinner.
Right.
And then another 2 months go by.
And you don't ever get together, right?
And I've just always kind of been that person, even in my personal life, and, if you talk to my friends, they can attest to that. Even in my personal life, I've always been that person that kind of forces people to follow through on what they say, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to getting together. Or oh, we have to do a dinner party. Let's do a potluck. People talk about stuff all the time and then they don't do it. But I'd be the person and be like, yes, let's do a potluck. What day?
Right. We're going to do it on the 18th.
Right.
Put it in your calendar.
I just can't, I don't know. I think that's also kind of just type A personality, which I very much am. I think that has to do with it. But I just love being around people. So if that means that I have to facilitate it in order for it to happen, then I'm perfectly happy to do that. I don't mind at all. I love organizing. So leave it to me to send out an email to everyone and be like, okay, so we set the 18th.
Right.
We're doing
who's bringing what are we doing? Yeah.
Exactly. Because sometimes you just need that person, because everyone wants to do it, but then kind of about it. You just need that person to kind of keep it going. And that's always been me, in my group of friends as well. I would always bring my girlfriends together. I would always organize girls' night. Girls' night was always in my place. It just always has been like that.
I think you did an amazing job of putting it out there and bringing the talk community together, because over the last 6 years or so, I even remember starting out, and then everybody would blog, and then sometimes you get lazy and you didn't blog, and then you'd blog again. And so you would see and I was totally in the same boat too, right? So you would see all the bloggers, we kind of talked to each other. We were kind of sort of consistent, but not really with posting. I feel that your community, the Talk Society, really helped bring everybody together, and that the brunches literally physically brought everybody together, which is a hard thing to do sometimes, getting people to commit to go out and, really spend time with each other and getting to know each other. So you are the master networker.
The master. Nice. That's a first. I'll take it. That's awesome. So yeah, we have such an amazing community, and as I'm doing these brunches, I'm meeting such incredible women, and why haven't we been doing this? And I'm perfectly happy to kind of lead the way forward and continue pushing this, because I think it's really important for us to continue doing it. So yeah, master networker.
I am so serious. I remember a couple of other DC bloggers. We tried to what we did, we had a mini brunch somewhere a couple of years ago, and it was pulling teeth to get people to come. And I think we said, after we left out, we said the lesson learned is we should have had people pay up front, because we were oh, just pay when you get here, which we felt gave people a way to be it's raining today. I didn't pay any money, so
I made that same mistake my very first brunch. Yeah, my very first brunch in New York. I remember I think I had 30 people signed up. So I was super excited, right? I'm this is going to be awesome. I'm so excited. And I remember sitting here the evening before, and it was January. and I'm watching TV with my boyfriend, and we're watching the news, and they're talking about this snowstorm. What was his name? Jonas, I think. That was coming over the New York area that night, and I was like, "Oh no, 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 no!" You know, snowstorm Jonas. Yep. Long behold, literally a few hours later, I started getting emails from people. Looks like there's going to be a snowstorm. I don't know if I'm going to make it into the city. And obviously, this is Mother Nature, so that's also different. But still, I still feel like, so eventually we had a group of, I think, 15 women, which was still great. We still had an amazing time. But I definitely think, that would have been a little different if everyone had kind of like covered their brunch cost beforehand. Because I was a little, I ended up in a little bit of a situation with the restaurant because obviously I had initially said 30 and now, only half showed up. But luckily they were very understanding because there were some people that were literally snowed in. I remember like certain parts of New Jersey and like Staten Island, you just couldn't get out. So, that's if you can't leave your home.
Right. You're like, I get it.
But you know how that goes. Like, I'm sure there were a few people that could have made it, but, it's icky and snowy outside, so opted to just, like, stay at home, nice and cozy. So, yeah. Living, you learn.
You do. But you've expanded to, and I'll definitely include a link to doing these multi-city events. So do you have any lessons learned from that? From, some of the listeners out there might want to put on their own events, but how have you been able to scale, and what are some of the things that you've learned from like the brunches you've put on so far that have been very successful?
Oh, the brunches have been, I know.
I'm like, go Bree.
I absolutely love them, but it has been some time, right, that has been put into that. I think I've been fortunate to have, certain people in my network that have been able to really support and help with getting these on the calendar, in terms of like location sourcing. And I think that has helped tremendously. What happens with me is I just get really overly excited, and then I plan stuff, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have this brunch in Chicago, so I'm gonna have to do it, right?
Right.
But what have I learned? Honestly, with the events, I am still hustling, working in the evenings, working late nights, trying to make it happen. So I haven't quite mastered, putting them together, I would say. Mm-hmm. I think that the fact that I've hosted a few before, I kind of know what I want and I know what I'm looking for and I know what kind of atmosphere I'm looking to create. But as to for actually organizing them, it's a lot of work. If you have the funds, get an event planner. But I mean, I didn't have that, right? So I'm the event planner. I'm the host and I'm the planner at the same time. But I would say probably similar to, when it comes to approaching content is, planning ahead and trying to have some sort of a structure, So I made a checklist for myself of all the things that I need to think about or execute for every brunch. And, for every brunch, I kind of go down to lists and I tick the boxes as I complete them, so that nothing kind of is forgotten. Because it's so easy to forget one little thing, So that has worked well for me, but I don't have the magic formula. I really I feel like people often think that I have, that I have it somewhere. But, I think it's also just motivation, I really believe that I'm doing something meaningful. And, at my last brunch, in New York, and in LA actually as well, I had a few moms come with their teenage daughters that are taller than average height. And I remember, you kind of see people coming in initially and, not everyone knows each other. So people are still a little bit like hesitant, and you'll see people kind of just, sitting down in the corner maybe and keeping to themselves, to like fast forward 3 hours and, everyone doing the Cupid shuffle.
Right.
at the end of the brunch, and looking around the room and seeing everyone having smiles on their faces and having such a good time, and seeing that 17-year-old girl having a ball and
Right.
standing up straight. Like, to me, that motivates me, because
That
that
impact.
means, because there's an impact and it adds value. And not only am I bringing women together, I feel like, we're creating a certain energy and a safe environment where we are all equals and we're all the same, and we've had similar struggles and we understand each other, and the guards are down. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
people are creating friendships now, because, at the end of it, everyone's always exchanging phone numbers. And I was talking to one of the attendees that we had at the New York brunch, like her and I think two other attendees that she met at the brunch. They have now, like, their regular, they go work out together. So
Wow.
Like, it's not
Making
just
connections.
a one-off brunch. Like, people are making lasting friendships.
Yeah.
And I mean, to me, that is gold. Like, to me, that is gold. I think that is super important. I think, as women, we need to do more of that facilitating of relationships and, putting each other on each other's path and nurturing that. I just think that is so important. So I see that, or I get an email. I got an email the other day from a mom, and she has two younger daughters, and both of them are already, like, off the charts. You and I know what that's like, because
right.
Both,
yep.
right? Like, we were off. And but both of them are struggling a little bit. And she, by chance, came across the Tall Society, I think initially on Facebook, and then she went to poke around, and she went to the website, and when she saw some of the brunch videos as well. And she emailed me, and she's like, today was just such an amazing day for me, because as a mom, because, the mom is average height, as a mom, she was kind of struggling. How am I going to instill this sense of self-confidence in my daughters? Like, I am not the example when it comes to height, you know what I mean? And they didn't necessarily have individuals in their direct circle. So I can imagine how, as a mom, that could be really tough, if you see your girls are struggling and they're not happy with who they are. And she emailed me just to say thank you, and, that she was planning, that coming weekend, she was planning to get her girls and, like, have them watch all the videos and read some of the blog posts to them. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is now becoming so much more than what I had initially set out to do, and
but it has so much impact.
I know. And I just, like, that is my reward.
Yeah.
That's really how I view it, because this is not, yes, it is a business, but it's not a money-making business, if I'm being quite frank. I'm just being honest with you. Like, this is the whole reason that I still work full time, right? Like, this is not, it doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
So that is not, that was not the purpose of it. So I'm okay with that. Like, if I can break even, I'm happy. If I can cover all of my costs, and then we're good.
I think that's important for people to hear, because, like, part of the reason why I started this podcast was just so people can know that there's, like, multiple ways to pursue a passion. You can actually try to make money off of it. You can have a full-time job and just do it on your nights and weekends and not care about making money off of it, but do it for the love of it, a combination of the two. But I'm glad you said that, because I think, like, on the surface, like, for those of you guys who don't know, you'll see in her links, like, Bree has, like, thousands and thousands of followers, right? And I'm sure your email newsletter list is huge too. And I think sometimes people equate that with, like, oh my gosh, she must be making like $10,000 or $20,000 a month, and like this must be like.
I'd be taking this call from the Bahamas on the beach somewhere if that was the case. No, listen. I mean, is there money coming in? Yes, there is.
Right.
But then, you look at the cost,
Right.
people often comment and they're like, oh, we love your website. It's like, yeah, I love it too. But it didn't just like magically like, it's funny, because people like sometimes they put it as if, it just came out of thin air. But it's
Right.
like, yeah, I love it too. I have a developer that I pay every month
Mm.
to maintain my website. If something
Yeah.
happens at 3 o'clock in the morning, she literally gets a phone call. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, so again, there's a cost there. I've changed my website a few times in terms of like the layout. Obviously there is an investment there. These events, I don't have to tell you, obviously location, photography, DJ, getting these videos made.
Mhm.
Getting from A to B for me to, I have to flights, accommodation. There is a significant amount of costs that come into
Mhm.
play. So, the bit of money that does come in, just barely offsets those costs. So
Yeah.
this is not, so if anyone is looking at it as this is amazing, I'm going to do it and I'm going to quit my job, I would say, hold on, because you're going to be in for a rude awakening.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, due to
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah.
I think that's a misconception. And I think that is often also the case because I feel like sometimes influencers portray it as such, in terms
Mhm.
of what they put out there on social media. You know what I mean? Like things look
Yep.
super fancy. You look at their Snapchat, they're like in this fancy hotel or whatever, and it all looks like they're
You're
living
like,
the life.
whoa. Yep.
And as I've been doing this and as I have also been introduced to other influencers, not even necessarily tall, but just, like mainstream that have big followings, then you kind of see what really happens, right? And that's
Mhm.
interesting. It's really, really interesting because I think absolutely that there are influencers that are making really good money.
Mm.
But then we're talking about like the Jamie Chungs of the world, that
Right.
have like millions of followers and
Right.
get, gets like endorsement deals with Canon,
Right.
I think that I know I have a long way to go before I get to that point because, companies like that don't shut out money until you really have a significant following. And then we're talking like 500,000 plus. Like I'm not anywhere near that. None of us
Yeah.
are because we're
Yeah.
such a niche community.
Right.
In all honesty, like I don't know if I'll ever get there. But again, that's not the goal.
Mhm.
That's not the purpose. Um,
Mhm.
am I going to eventually have to figure out a way to make some money if I want to do this full time? Yes. And that is
Mhm.
kind of where I am now. I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, okay, I'm struggling to keep up because I'm spending so much time. Like this has now become a full-time job. So now I'm right back to working 80
Yeah.
hours. It's just my day job in the Tall Society, right?
Right.
So, now it's trying to figure out how to bring that balance back and how to find a way to supplement income. I don't know.
I hope you get there because even though I know that's not the purpose, I think it is necessary to maintain that balance because then you can afford to bring other people on and you can just articulate your vision to a team of people and
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like two, full-time jobs. But I feel like in order to get there, you do have to earn a decent amount so you can outsource all these things and kind of be able to still help people, but not kill yourself at the same time,
Right. Totally agree. So
So,
that is literally the kind of like the phase that I am in now. I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do? Right. Like, what is this going to look like? If I bring in someone to really help on a regular basis, what does that cost? And so I'm trying to figure that out. But I do also believe that, I think that a lot of entrepreneurs and, I think a lot of people have had to go through this phase that I'm currently in order to get to the next one.
right.
You have to scale and grow your platform or your community before you really can even consider doing that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because you need to have the audience as well that is
Yeah.
actually interested in what you have to say. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey because I didn't think it would. I didn't anticipate the growth at this pace. I thought it would take much longer. So yeah, but I mean, listen, I'm not complaining.
Right.
I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong. Like, I am counting my blessings, and I'm very, very grateful for the support and for the openness that I've seen in our community when I came around. Everyone has been super friendly and welcoming and supportive. And now it's just, trying to take it to the next level. Like, I really want to see more of a spotlight on women of height. Height is not something that you choose.
Right.
I fully believe that it is a blessing. And I feel like it's up to us, that, you and I that have, kind of gone through our little struggles and, the insecurities, and like I have put that's way behind me at this point. You know what I mean?
But you can help others now.
Exactly.
Because I remember getting an email asking, like, a mom asking me, like, hey, my daughter needs to find a prom dress, but we can't find anything tall enough. Can you send us some, like, possible links?
Yeah,
and that seems like it's so small, right? But it's like, no, like, this is like an event that someone will remember for the rest of their lives, and they want to look beautiful, and they don't want to look awkward and weird. And so it's like, I don't know, some people out there probably won't understand, but it's like a way to help someone be comfortable within their own skin, because they can't change it. They're tall. We can't get shorter.
But I definitely think that it helps for our younger tall sisters to have examples, to look to have someone like you, to have someone like me, to have someone like a Christiana, to have someone like a Rajanique, to have someone like an Alicia, and all these women that are a lot taller than average height, but that are incredible. You know what I mean? Like, that is motivation in itself, I think. They motivate me. Hell, they motivate me.
I know. I mean, I see, like, when I read, like, your articles, and I, see other articles from tall bloggers, I'm like, man, these women are doing, like, some amazing things. So, I mean, and that's what you want to surround yourself with, right? You surround yourself with positive people that are doing amazing things and really good things, for their communities and so forth, because it makes you become a better person. And so
it really does. It really does. And, I feel like we have a really unique opportunity, and I feel like I'm creating something here that is going to be valuable in the long term. You know what I mean? And that community and that sisterhood that I was missing when I was younger, like, it doesn't mean that tall girls moving forward have to miss that, because we've created it for you now. It's here. So, but yeah, it's just really fulfilling, and at the end of the day, it's, at least for me, like, it's not always about the money. And people are like, well, you're spending a lot of time, or when they do see, like, an invoice coming in, they're like, damn,
But you know what? It's like, to help people, you have to be able to fund, like, your business. It doesn't even matter if it's like a nonprofit. Like, you need those proceeds in order to impact more people's lives. And if you are providing a service and doing things, I think people need to remember, like, it takes hard work to do anything that we're doing. So it's like, people shouldn't feel weird about paying for that service, right? I think sometimes, like, everybody is so used to getting stuff for free that it's just like, this
issue.
is time,
like,
someone's time.
People are really used to getting stuff for free, or like, a ticket to the event is $65. I've had that, like, get an email like, that's a lot, and I'm like, I don't agree, because this is what you're getting. Yeah, I mean, I'll just be blunt, Like, you think $65 is a lot for a 3-hour event where you walk out the door with a gift bag that far exceeds that value is one. And, when and where would you ever be in a room with this group of women? Like, I did everything for you, okay?
Right.
I did, all you have to do is show up. So no, I
Yeah.
don't think that $65 is a lot.
Mm-mm.
And the $65 doesn't even cover the cost. Like, obviously sometimes we have sponsors and we have like retailers that kind of help out a little bit. So yeah, and I think that is something that we need to get away from. Like, people need to understand that everything costs time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears and money. You're not going to get anything for free. So yeah, that's funny that you say that, because I remember like when I get that, they're like, $65 is a lot. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's not, because I could be asking 75 for this. Because are you going to do it? You know what I mean? Like,
right. But the crazy thing is, they like will spend like maybe $50 on a shirt that they'll maybe wear once, or it's going to sit in their closet with the tags on it for like years.
Right. I mean, this is not just a brunch. Like, it's an experience that you will never, it's like a once in a lifetime type situation that you're in, and it's an experience. So anyone that's listening, it's an experience.
I agree. I went to the last brunch, and for those of you guys who know me out there, I'm very candid, and if I say something, that means I mean it.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the brunch. It was amazing. I met some amazing people. Like, actually, I'm having like someone else on the podcast that I met from the brunch. And the thing about it is, like, it is a networking event, and it's just not the business side of it. It's just like where you can form friendships, and you have like these other like-minded people that kind of understand what you went through maybe as a child, or what you go through now, even with the frustrations of being tall, and so it's like, that it's like you can't put a price tag on that. So for me, like, your event prices are spot on, because I realize like it takes a ton of work to put it together. You have a gift bag, and I'm going to meet people there that could impact the rest of my life. Like, even if it's just one person that I end up, keeping in contact with for years, I don't know. It's like, you can't put a price tag on that. It's an amazing experience. So I look forward to the event coming up in DC in a couple of months. So keep doing it.
You're coming. I take it then. Good.
Yeah, I should, because I want to say it's right around my birthday, and so I wasn't sure if I was going to go like travel somewhere overseas, but I think I will be here. So as long as that stays true, I will be at the brunch.
Good.
Yeah. But anywho, I don't want to hold you up anymore. I just have one rapid fire quick question for you just to wrap up. And what is one thing you cannot live without? And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be a product. It could be anything in the world.
What is the one thing that I can't live without is my people. My people, my boyfriend, and my besties. I have some really, really close friends, and they're kind of scattered literally all around the world. Like, one is in close to Amsterdam. Another two are in Amsterdam. Like, they're everywhere. One's in Finland. These are individuals that have changed my life for the better in a beautiful way, and those are friendships that I cherish very, very much. So I would say that's the one thing I wouldn't be able to live without. It's my support system. It's my people. It's my inner circle of friends and family that, that are there when I burn out and I just,
Yeah.
and I'm exhausted and I need someone to remind me why I set out to do this. It's those people, the people that will be there for you to support you in everything.
No matter what.
No matter what, I'm sure if I pick up the phone and call my girl in Finland and, I have an emergency, I need you to be here, she'd be on a plane, later today. So I think that I'm grateful for them, and they know who they are.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Bree. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for reaching out, and amazing job on your new website. I see you, girl. I see you.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I think the biggest takeaway here is whatever you do, if you decide to put together an event, make sure it's something that you're passionate about. Like if you're going to do something on your nights and weekends, make sure that you have a love for it. And it's clear that Bree does. She wants to have an impact on the tall community. And then that's really having an impact on society. Like if you can help bring people together and form relationships and also help young women love themselves more. Man, that is a beautiful thing. And at the end, we talked a little bit about, pricing and then sometimes the struggle of people thinking things cost too much. But I'll tell you guys, number one, if you are doing anything, make sure you are charging for it. I think we all struggle with that a little bit, but this is your time, right? You need to get compensated for your time. And then if you're on the other end of this, maybe you see a price for something from a small business owner or entrepreneur, like know that what they produced, it took a lot of time. So for example, this podcast, right? It's about an hour long. It takes about an hour and a half to edit. I have to create show notes around it. I have to create graphics to go with it. And then I have to work on like my promotion strategy, like for social media. That's like one episode is hours worth of work, right? So one, I have to love what I do, but two, like it should be okay for me to get compensated for this or for putting together material, right? Because there a lot of work goes into it. And so just kind of keep that in mind the next time you see an event from someone or you see a course from someone or whatever it might be. It's like that person has worked really, really hard to make sure whatever you're about to purchase from them is adding value to your life. And so it's just a little food for thought because there are two sides of that, like the person who pays and the person who creates, and both have to be mindful. One, like be comfortable with charging, and then on the flip side of that, be comfortable with paying, right? And everything is within reason, and you kind of know what's a ripoff and what's not, but just be mindful of that. And so the show notes for the Tall Society and where she can be found are on nachesnow.com/08. And I'll also include a link to her event page so you can see if she's coming to your city. And even if you're not a tall person, I encourage you to share this episode with someone who is tall because, it's helping them like connect with a community that relates to their struggles and celebrates their height. So thank you again for joining in. As always, please head on over to iTunes, nachesnow.com/iTunes, and please leave me a rating. If you're already on your iPhone, please go into the app and leave a 5-star rating. It really helps. Like that actually helps support the show too, right? It's not always monetary. It's sometimes just doing that rating and sharing is worth like more than gold. So if you get a chance, please do that. And please connect with me on social media or by leaving a comment. I love, when I hear from you guys. Until next week, have a wonderful day or night. Bye.